everyone here? We're from the small town of Glenorchy. Okay, so we're at the head of Lake Whakatapu, and very close to two national parks. There we go. This is us down here, Glenorchy. On the other side, Glenorchy. It's about 10 houses over there. Paradise, just back here. Isengard, One Lane Bridge, a few walks, a couple of hobbits. It's also a UNESCO World Heritage Area. It's recognised as an area of outstanding beauty. Is that a town? 2 miles. This side? Yep. So this is where we live, approximately 350 people. River to the south, wetlands up here to the north, lake, and we're ringed by about 8 high country stations. So there's not a lot of future development planned, mainly because we're considered touristy, earthquakes and floods. If we get an earthquake, get a big one, the Alpine Fault's just over the hill. That's it, we're close. We're not too worried about it, actually. Okay, so it made sense for us to explore the idea of becoming a sky sanctuary. Why not? In 2050, a group of us, about 10 volunteers, we got together to begin the process. And we marked out an area of 200,000 hectares, most of it national park. It also covers those 8 high country stations I mentioned. One of our group of volunteers is Mana Whenua, and she reminded us of the concept of Tāhuna. Tāhuna means cloak of protection, and it just seemed to gel with that idea with the group. Another group member told us of the work of Maori artist John Bevan Ford, that's his work here, and we found him to be particularly inspiring. His works reflect exactly what it is we want to achieve. We're fortunate in that we live in an area that already has 2 designated Tāhuna areas. One of them, Karaka Slipstream, it's stuff in here. And the other one is Hikaraki Tahi, mountain slope. These are areas special to Māori. If you're wondering about slipstreams, it's an area that is special, even in the national park. No one's allowed to go there, and that's because in about 1970 odd, I think it was, Hunter wandered in and found a huge greenstone boulder, big as a car. So the Department of Conservation said, okay, that's it. No one goes there. So it's been protected ever since. I'm pretty sure that boulder's been covered up again. Slipstream means the mountain is continuously moving. So why do we need a cloak of protection? Why do we need a cloak of protection for our skies? In fact, aren't we the cloak of protection? Yes, of course we are. But it can be a bit daunting. I mean, we're just a small group. What do we do? This is us enjoying our night skies. However, in 2012, we learned about the power of international protection. We were faced with the threat. Some entrepreneur, I should say, decided that it would be a good idea to put a tunnel through the hill from Rootburn over to Hollywood. That would mean that you could get to Milford Sound 2 hours quicker than the road that they use at the moment. Couldn't believe it. And it seemed that the government at the time was all for it. Yeah, great idea, let's do that. We mobilised the troops, we jumped up and down, we wrote petitions, got the media involved, made a big noise, and it seemed like we were going to fail. But then, the head of UNESCO World Heritage said on national radio they would consider taking away New Zealand's World Heritage status. And it was that made the government of the day change its mind. So It ensured continuing protection for our special areas, and that was the lesson that we valued today.
Margaret, you will have remembered both the UNESCO piece and the government piece. And to be honest, in times like these, where environmental protections are being rolled back as quickly as they are, the power of international accreditation matters all the more to us. Our project area is in an amazing place, and galvanized actually by the tunnel. Rupert Dark Wildlife Trust was formed as well as the Southern Lake Sanctuary. Ruskin asked us yesterday, we were telling him that Tāhuna will be released into our site for the first time on non-public conservation land in February. The big blue chicken on the right almost went extinct twice. And Johan, the bat on your far left, we're in search of. So that's our short-tailed bat. We, through our Dark Skies group, got funding from Love Queenstown to be able to do a search for short-tailed bats this summer. We already have long-tailed bats that we've been studying for 30 years in Glenorchy, and mohu are critically endangered. So our project, can you make the gesture if I say it? So we're very much about the fact that we are sanctuary below and sanctuary above. And that cloak of protection and the circle is part of our logo, but it's our ethos of our project. So we understand this big vision, and of course, we can't limit ourselves just to our own project. We loved the idea of what this conference was about. So Glenorchy's famous for telling the rest of the country what we think should happen. So we're not going to miss that opportunity today. So in terms of the cloak of protection, our experience of working with DOC and in the conservation sector encourages us to think, instead of creating a cloak of protection with a little bit here and a little bit there and seeing how we connect the dots, that could take us forever. Why don't we instead follow Brian's recommendation of make good things out of low-hanging fruit, right? Which we all experienced last night. There's a very obvious opportunity, which Nailani brought up this morning and other people have raised. More than 30% of our country is already in the conservationist state. And we actually think that the smartest thing would be so there's all the national parks in the South Island, just to give you the picture. You can see the populated areas. We've seen those pictures before, but this is the one that blows me away. Look on the left side. That's land that is in the conservation estate in one form or another. So either district level or PCL land. That's massive. So you can see all the projects. We're a little sad that we suddenly don't make the map somehow, but 200,000 hectares will be protected. But when you look at that and realize what's possible by starting from there, so we propose, just as other parts of the world are doing 30 by 30, which is to get 30% protected. New Zealand's already 30% protected on the ground. Why don't we try to get a minimum of 30% protected by 2030 by doing a very clever little thing, which is we already have a singular government agency that could have a singular negotiation with Dark Skies International. So Ellen, sorry, as our doc person, I think Penny Nelson in particular would love this thought. And it's not so hard because it's a small community group. It is very difficult to do the application process, to do all those bits and pieces, as other people have shared in the story. We're a very small group and a very small tip. When you have central government and in the conservation estate, it is beneficial to the biodiversity goals of this country. And we've seen the success on a cultural level of projects like Predator Free 2050. So what started as a good idea, 7 years ago, has become a movement across the country. And we really see how the exact same thing could work in this space. So these are our local hut wardens. So if you go up the Rupert this summer, if you're up in the Greenstone Caples, if you're on the Restart, you will see our ambassadors who all have their little light meters, and we radio them on the new moon, and they collect data for us. So they're all proudly wearing our new merch. They were the first recipients of our thanks last year. So they do all our remote readings for us, and we're at about 21.6 out in the remote parts of the district. We've had the same weird SQM issues, so heard your pain. But we really see it as a national priority, and one that Doc's already been through before, but this one's actually easier. Because Predator Free 2050 is a moonshot, literally, of getting rid of things. We're not getting rid of things, we're value-adding things. I particularly loved when we came across this John Bevan Ford image, because I've been working on the Tāhuna project for the last 4 years to bring them to our community, and the idea that they already had a cloak of protection is just like, this is our project right there. But we'd like to see it extend to the whole country. So we're aware that we follow the same model. I hesitate to use the word halo because it talks about light, but what we've seen with predator projects is if you have a core area that's protected, the areas nearby and around, and you move out from those. And we know that the public goodwill is with us, so we want to move in that direction. We began this journey as a country with Matariki, and imagine if we were 30 by 30, or if we were 50 by 30, or a whole Dark Sky Nation by 30. Why not? Let's dream big, eh? Most of us know about the plan to recloak Kapatuanuka, and as we've shown with our project, Sanctuary Below, Sanctuary Above, most beautiful place on earth. So come visit us in Glenorchy. We hope to be the next Dark Sky Sanctuary. And we would love to see you all come down for a visit. So thank you very much.
Any questions? We can take one question. Yes, ma'am.
It's not so much a question as a comment, and that is the significance of New Zealand maintaining New Zealand maintaining its international connections. The proposal to put a tunnel through to Haas was mentioned. Now, World Heritage reacted. Why did they react? Because Paramount Chief Tim Lufihuhu had just recently been the president of the World Heritage Commission for 4 years, and he had all the contacts to make sure that the New Zealand case was heard and government backed down.
Absolutely right. Thank you, Margaret. And it took a small community. We did not have, we had support from people all across the country, actually all across the world. And it was that one thing of being on the radio and saying, we will pull New Zealand's World Heritage status, that made the minister at the time completely change tack. So for us, that's why International Dark Sky Protection, we want that layer, and eventually we want Ramsar for the same reason. We understand that sometimes domestically, we forget how important this place is, and we have endemic species that nobody in the world has, like our takehe, like our short-tailed bats. 75% of our species are endemic, so we need to protect them for the world, not just for ourselves.
Thanks.